How's it going, guys? I'm Mike. If you catch me in Gamer and one of my socials, I go by Hawk. So we are going to try to do this video as quickly as possible, in part because there's a lot to cover here and I don't want it to take forever, but also because I've had to re-record this several times now. The devs are updating this game at a blisteringly fast pace, and every time I get this video done, the information is no longer relevant. So bear in mind, anything I say here, subject to change. Okay, so they are adjusting things, they are fixing bugs, they are trying to take care of things as quickly as possible. So kudos to Keepsake, they're doing great. It is making my job a little bit harder, but whatever, here we go. We're just gonna rapid fire. All right, so we are now on the Unity 6 engine. We were on a previous version of Unity before. Graphics are drastically improved now. Performance, as a general rule, is improved. Some people are experiencing some issues, but they are working on that. Also, they recommend that you update your drivers. If your drivers are not up to date, you may struggle with the new engine. But as a general rule, stuttering seems to be a whole lot better. Now, this is, of course, speaking for the Steam version of the game. As for Xbox, I'm not sure if it's gone live on the update yet or not. But, yeah. I don't know what the experience is going to be like there, but please let the devs know so that they can help you out if you are having problems. Now, some of the big changes we're seeing here is that overall, colors are far more vibrant now. Colors are more vibrant, like these cool and warm grays here. They are much more noticeable. Textures have been completely overhauled in this engine. Obviously, the textures were always there, but now you can see that if I were to go with this flat black on, say, the second suit color here, if I were to go with a flat black, we would have this very solid black looking color. Or as we can go with these different textures here. This is very well demonstrated on the ships, which also have these same effects. So these textures give a more weathered look now, which they always kind of did give that sort of effect, but now it's much more noticeable given the color change. So your brights are brighter, your darks are darker, like your blacks are a lot more solid black now. And then, of course, your whites and brights are a lot brighter as well. Little caveat, you're going to see it here. We have the football back, which is affected. Boza and Iris both give cheers and stuff should it happen, or they may lament the loss of the ball. If I can get it out of bounds here, we'll try. It's a little bit harder than it looks. So let's see. Also, as you can see, we've got sliding now. All right, well, I'm going to give up on that because you can definitely get it out of bounds, and then Boza here's no. It's hilarious, but I'll let you guys get that on your own time. Now, as for the appearance, as I was mentioning on the ships here, if I were to go into tab, you can go to the exterior here. You can see I've got this really weathered looking black on my ship and these weathered looking orange patterns, but you can go with a nice solid black if you want to. You can give this real clean look. These textures carry over into the interior as well. All of these colors are more vibrant. You can go with whatever you like. You can change it. You may have to alter what you already had in place because things have changed so drastically. Now you can also go over to the interior, and as you can see, these textures on the floor and stuff, these weathering, they are very much in effect. You can also go with the cleaner looks if you want, give it that fresh paint job look. I like the textures. I think that they look pretty slick. They kind of remind me of the Millennium Falcon and the way it looked. You know, yeah, she may not look like much kid, but she's got it where it counts. So I don't know. I think it's fun. It's a nice little tweak. Obviously, these textures were already a thing in the game, but now they are far more noticeable due to the improved graphics. Now, some quick changes about the ships. They both can only carry 250 materia now. You can still have more material on the ship than that. You just don't want to put it in the disassembler until you've got room for it. Now, are these changes drastic in that manner? Well, yes, they do make a lot of things change, like the artifacts that are fueled by the percentage of materia you have in the tank. They are much more powerful now, being able to hit 50% of their strength at 125 materia, whereas on the Dart it would have been 300, and on the Catamaran it would have been 500. So these both being at 250 now means that those artifacts are far more effective. Overall, not too much has been changed in the ships for the most part, other than the fact that there is now a hatch, which I'll try to slip into the clip here. So as you guys can see here, we now have an airlock hatch down in the bottom of the Catamaran. This is in here, right next to the disassembler. There used to be like little cargo crates and things here that were completely unusable, but now we have this quick access down below. Right here's your pilot cannon, and you can easily get around the ship now. That makes it a little bit more helpful for getting around. As you can see, these weathered textures are really in effect in this Unity 6 engine, like I was mentioning earlier in the graphics. We have some very altered looks. You can make this much more clean if you like, but I do like the weathered look. I think it's very fitting for survivors fighting the Legion. Anyway, kind of fun. And then also we have a ammo station, which I'll try and slip that clip in here. All right, guys, so as you can see, now we're in the dart here. We have an ammo station right here, and this costs 5 materia to refill your weapon, just like it always did. Ammo has not been reworked in any way, other than the fact that we're getting more of it now. It costs 5 materia to refill, and it will not refill your magazine. It will just refill your ammo reserves. So that is the way things have been altered here in the dart. All right, guys, so coming in with a brief edit here, there are a couple of important details that I forgot to mention. So first off, things have been changed around in the hangar here with the components. Sensors and engines are here. Reactors and auxiliary generators are here, and we have a power grid here. It's pretty easy to swap things out on the fly, test your builds before you get into mission, which is a really wonderful thing that we've been asking for a while. So we've got that that's been added. On top of that, you're going to get a ton more credits for basically everything at this point. Like credit rewards are through the roof. I've gotten almost 10,000 credits from a mission without even hardly trying, which is insane. So you can now recoup your costs, augment the vendors, which makes taking stuff will make a whole lot more sense. On top of that, Vosk over here, he's got some more say in the game now, because he can carry not only rare common artifacts, but he can carry rare ones, and he can carry legendaries that you can pick up here. So pretty cool. They are more expensive for the higher rarities. All artifacts can come in all of these rarities. So you're going to have the commons at 1,000 credits that they cost, 1,200 for the rares, and then 1,500 for the legendaries. Overall, definitely worth it if you can get a good one. A little tidbit here, Vosk also has written a book. So, yeah. This is probably an older book from before the Legion took over, but yeah, pretty cool. The Telmari Legacy, written by Dr. Saren Vosk. So we got a new item there, also worth credits, and it's worth a fair amount. All right, guys, so now we're going to go ahead and we are going to talk about ammo and weapon changes. Speaking of that, we just had an adjustment added in the patch that went live literally minutes ago, where enemies will now drop ammunition, so you can replenish your ammo as you go, and there are various ways to also improve your ammo economy. Overall, many of the weapons have been buffed. They've gotten increased damage. All of them have increased ammo reserves. Magazine changes may have taken into effect. I have not been able to test things since the patch went live literally minutes ago. Going off of my old data, the Bulldog here, which is the new weapon we've gotten, it is a semi-auto rifle. When you spam fire it, it has a lot of recoil and a lot of spread. When you aim down sights, it's much more controlled, and you can hit pretty precisely at very high ranges. The magazine is the scope on the Mark III has a great deal of magnification. The scope on the Mark II is pretty darn close to that. It has a hollow on the Mark 1, and then it's got iron sights on the Mark III, and of course you're going to have magazine changes. The Mark III currently has 17 shots in the magazine, and then the others will have reduced amounts. I believe it's 13 shots in the Mark 0, though I haven't been able to test it at this time since the update just went live minutes ago. On top of that, overall the amount of ammo they will have in reserve is also slightly altered. Now the Bulldog did just get a buff in the patch notes. They went live moments ago, so several things like this and the grenades too all got damage buffs. So that's pretty sweet. Those changes have been taken into effect. On top of that, we have some other effects. I'm going to play a quick clip that just shows some fun things you can do with the grenades, and then I'm going to talk about them a little bit. I'm curious to see. First of all, you should be able to launch grenades using a melee weapon now, so we're going to be testing that out. I did give it a little bit of a test run here a moment ago, which is why I'm down to 2 grenades, but let's see how this goes. I'm going to chuck it up. I'm going to get my melee. And I'm going to blow myself up. Perfect. This is very dangerous. Do not try at home, kids. Woo! And she's gone. Out of the park. Okay, so some rapid fire stuff. The Bulldog is semi-auto. It fires when you pull the trigger. And can fire quite quickly. It is very accurate at range and Not as accurate when you hip fire, but it does fire quite quickly. It's pretty good. It's pretty effective. It's probably an all-arounder. It's basically supposed to be a cross between the halberd and the javelin. Now, at long range, the javelin will usually out DPS the bulldog, or from previous experience, I haven't been able to test since this patch, and the halberd would out DPS at close range. However, this would be sitting as an all-arounder right in between that could do both jobs very effectively. So, well, at the same time being pretty darn ammo efficient, honestly. So I really like the bulldog. I think it's my new favorite weapon. Little fun thing, it does a melee strike with the barrel. Most weapons will use the butt of the gun. But yeah, that's pretty cool. So quick changes about the weapons, although I haven't been able to retest them. Last I knew, the grenades themselves are also, they work like so. The frag grenade, it can be tossed, it will bounce. In zero gravity, it will continue to travel until gravity takes effect, and then it will fall down to where gravity is dictating. It is, of course, on a timer before it blows, so it can only go so far. You can cook it to make it blow much faster, and you could even blow yourself up by cooking it. So if you were to just sit here and hold it, as you can see. Now, as you can see, it does friendly fire. Both grenades do. So just like the rocket launcher, you can take yourself and your friends out. They can also be affected by things in the battlefield. For instance, we have a new enemy called the rocket drone, and I'll showcase that a little bit. The rocket drone is pretty interesting in that its rockets will blow up in proximity. They will fire, they'll hit, they can blast you around corners because of the area damage, and they can also detonate your grenades should your grenade be in proximity when the rocket goes off. I've actually had one instance where I got taken out because I chucked a grenade, and then before the grenade had even gotten very far from my hand, rocket took effect, blew up on. I got affected by the rocket as well as the grenade itself, and it went down very quickly. Grenades cannot usually breach shields, at least they could not before, and but they can lower shields, but they won't do damage beyond the shield. But if you throw out two of them, they will detonate at the same time. As I said, they can blow up from proximity explosions, and that includes their own explosion. So if you check out several of them, they will blow up very quickly each other and will count as multiple explosions, so they will do damage beyond shields. They are very good for cleaning up enemy bots. It looks like in the patch notes they just got a significant buff in damage. The grenades did, which will be nice because all the bots got a significant HP increase in the latest patch, and it seems like they like the change and they're trying to make it to where we can compensate for it with certain weapons, which is going to be pretty nice effect. Actually, I think that that's a good pick. The sticky grenades, they function very similar to the frag grenades, other than the fact that they cannot be cooked, and they fly out in a more straight path. They seem to have little fins on them, and so they fly out more straight, like you're throwing a dart, and then they'll stick to whatever they hit, and they will blow up from there. The sticky grenades are pretty useful in zero gravity, due to the fact that they won't bounce when they hit something. So like, there was a situation where I was on a Corvette. I tried to throw a frag grenade because it was zero gravity. It hit the platform, bounced off, and flew back into space, doing absolutely nothing, whereas the sticky grenades are going to stick to whatever they hit. So that is their use case. They're very good at that. Both were effective at clearing out large amounts of small bots and can be effective at dealing with heavies as well. I love the grenades as an addition. They take up an inventory space, as you can see, but you can carry them in stacks of 10. They come in stacks of 5, so if you pick up 2 stacks, they will stack together and will be 10. When you get back to hangar, if you have them in your inventory, whether you have 1 in your inventory or you have 10, they will be reduced to 5 or raised to 5, being whatever the situation may be. And so you'll be starting the next mission with 5 grenades in that spot. Overall, I think it's a pretty nice change. I like those. I think those are pretty sick. The weapons have had some drastic changes. Now, the footage I'm going to be showing you is mostly from before many of these patches. I'm just going to kind of rattle off some things. The side clip has less recoil, has a lot more ammo in reserve. In fact, all weapons now have more ammo in reserve. The LMG seems to have a lot more recoil, but does a ton more damage, has a lot more stunning potential, and it got some really nice audio. I'm going to go ahead and throw in this clip. Remember, this is from before the latest patch. But as you can see, the LMG has some altered audio that just sounds powerful to me. I like it. It sounds like a Gatling gun or something, basically. It's pretty fun. I like that. It is more powerful. Magazine sizes have been altered since that clip was taken, and things are a little bit different now. But overall, that gives you the general idea. The Maw is now full auto and has more ammo in reserve, as all weapons do. It doesn't seem to have a faster rate of fire, but you don't have to constantly pull the trigger. Halberd seems to have less recoil and more ammo in reserve. Javelin seems to be mostly unchanged, other than the fact that it does seem like it got a damage increase recently in the latest patch notes I was noticing. And so it's going to have that, but it's also going to be having a ton of ammo in reserve. In fact, I think it's got like 3 times as much ammo in reserve now. Also, enemies now drop ammo when they die, so keeping your weapon topped off is not going to be nearly as hard, which is sweet. Rocket launcher, as far as I can tell, is unchanged. The railgun has some pretty sweet animation alterations. Also, it is possible to now use your melee strikes even when you are carrying something heavy, such as a heavy weapon indicated here, or if you are carrying a grab bag, or like a jump drive or something to that effect. Either way, you can still do a melee strike, as you see indicated here. Now, this is before any of the patches, so much of this may be different as far as damage is concerned. But as you can see, the railgun animation has changed. The barrel spreads apart and has this really cool look to it. It also, as last I checked, is able to breach shields. So it'll pass through whatever it hits, being multiple enemies at a time even, and it can pass through shields and damage the bot behind the shield, which is pretty effective. Now, I'd like to see how it is affected now that we have some new patches, so I'll have to do some more testing. Overall, those were pretty cool changes. Data extraction, which is the endless ship combat mission, and data breach have had, which is the endless on foot mission, have all had some changes. Data extraction has wave scaling, just like data breach always did, and ships will get shields now as they continue to get more and more difficult. Data breach has a lot more enemies in it. You start with 30 materia lying on the ground right by the assembler. All weapons, including melee weapons now, are craftable at the assembler. That includes both grenades, the new bulldog, the melee weapons, and everything that it had previously. Icons have all been changed and look drastically different now, which is pretty interesting. You do not get materia in data breach on the first wave. There won't be any pop-ups. You need to go collect the materia from this extraction point. No, those don't appear in the first wave, although the assembler will come active just before you start and after the first wave is done. And then, of course, you will start to get a materia as normal once you get to the second wave. Those are the biggest changes there. Overall, I would say enemies are drastically more difficult now. They are far more accurate. They have a lot more HP, and overall, they just do a lot more damage. They are a lot harder to deal with. They have animations have been drastically overhauled in this update, and the enemies, they look different, they behave differently, they're able to dodge your shots now, which is something that has been added. As I said, we also have one new enemy that has been added. Now I'm going to have to sift through this clip to bring you guys the relevant bits. I'm going to show you the new enemy. Feels like it hits. Oh, we got rocket drones. This is the new enemy type. I'm glad I got one here. They have a weak point right there on their rocket at the bottom of them. And you can actually blast the rocket off, which is pretty cool. So they can't fire rockets. You can also take out their fans, though that's not a weak point. And if their fans are destroyed, they come crashing to the ground. I'm gonna let him hit me. Boom. And as you can see, his rockets basically give you a rocket jump. So oh, got a sniper above me. The enemies have had an overhaul to where their mechanics work a little bit differently than they used to. Most of them are more accurate and more deadly as a rule. Oh yeah, well, what you saw there was I actually blasted his rocket. It wasn't intentional, and I'd say pulling that off intentionally is going to be really hard. Not that you can't do it, but it moves very fast. It's a very small target, hard to hit, so... Alright, so that is basically the changes. Now, bear in mind that that was on a previous patch. There have been some adjustments. The rocket drones, they blow up when they go down, so if you melee strike them like I did in that, you will be blown up. That is something. Also, the rocket drones, they can hit around corners with their rockets. You can blast their rockets out of the air, although I think what I was showcasing there is that they do tend to blow up when you destroy them now. And they can do friendly fire both with their rockets and the explosion they do on death, so you can actually use them to take out other bots. But they do seem to be like priority number one oftentimes, unless you got like a taser in play. I would, generally speaking, go for the rocket drones first because I feel like they're the most deadly. They toss you around, disorient you, do tons of damage, and are just generally a huge threat, although they are a bit squishy. So a little bit easier to deal with in that regard. I do like them as an addition. You can, of course, shoot their propellers to blow them out of the sky, but those are not weak points and don't take damage very quickly. But that rocket pod on the bottom is probably the easiest way to deal with them. It's a weak point, and you can just shoot that and be done with them. Overall, I like them as addition. All enemies have had drastic overhauls. Some have new weak points, like the sniper drones, which is the biggest ones that put the shield in front of them when you're shooting their weak point. They now have a sniper blast instead of Gatling turrets, and it charges up, beep, 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 fire, and they can snipe you out of the air even when you're moving at high speed in a grapple. On top of that, they also have their rocket pods now explode, much the way the rocket drones do, and many others have had changes like shields on the laser drones with reduced HP, etc. There's a lot of different changes. All of them are designed to function a little bit differently than they used to. Their AI is much different. They now will dodge, like I said, and things are overhauled there. We of course also have the slide, which you guys have seen me be doing here. I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate some of the effects of the slide and the ways that you can use it here. You can pick up speed. It's a little short burst of speed when you're on level ground, although it does slow you down at the tail end of it. So I use it more as a finisher personally. But if you are going downhill, as you can see here, you can continue to pick up speed and can actually go for a really good distance. So the slide is pretty helpful. It can be pretty fun to mess around with. I do like the changes to that. I think that is a really nice addition to the movement. Also, one little trick that I've noticed, it's not really something I can do in the hangar here, but if you should double jump just as you hit the point there, actually let yourself get up to where you would be snapping on instead of breaking off early and doing what I call snap grappling, you would try to actually release just as you hit the point. Now, if you release too early, like I did there, you will hit the bottom of the platform instead. But if you hit at the exact right time, which is hard to pull off, and I certainly haven't mastered it, and it's harder to do here in the hangar than it is in some of the maps, you can actually fly well above the grapple point. And like I said, much easier to do in some areas, like in Data Breach where that the balcony is there. That's a pretty easy point to pull it off. I've done it several times. You can snap up there, and then you can jump from there into a slide and just use that momentum from the grapple and carry yourself straight into cover and be safe. It's actually a really cool tech that I'm going to be probably doing a little short on. But anyway, so the slide is affected by your current momentum. The faster you're going, the faster the slide is. The slower you're going, for less distance you'll slide, and the slower you will be doing it. It functions as a dodge, which can be really helpful to slip into cover when you need to get away from something that's about to, say, snipe you or something.
Let me know what you need.
Overall, the changes there are pretty fun. Now, on top of that, we have some changes to the augment system. These are pretty drastic changes. Some things have reduced power, like the materia feed expander. This used to cost 3 points, it now only costs 1. And that is a pretty nice change because when you are taking it in conjunction with this one, it normally would give you an extra 6 shots in your multi-tool. As you can see, I now have 20 instead of 14.
Barely even noticeable.
If you take it in conjunction with this one, which halves your magazine size, you now only have 10 shots. So that's an extra 3 bullets from base instead of, you know, or actually less bullets than base. 14 is the base. You're now dropping to 10. So in reality, you're only getting an extra 3 bullets is what I meant, instead of an extra 6. Because as we have it, which would take you down to 7. And then if you add this, because this is having that as well, you only get an extra 3 for 10. So this at 3 points was extremely expensive. At 1 point, this is a lot more viable now. And a lot of these others have been overhauled, both in the way that they function, as well as the way that they are, the amount of power they take. Like this used to only give a 50% buff. Now it gives a 75% buff. It also used to only take effect, and it was either 25% or 20%. I can't quite remember which, but regardless, it was lower. Now it's at 30%. Once the bots are at 30% health or lower, you will be doing an extra 75% damage instead of the 50% from before. Proximity strike has been increased. It used to be a 2-point cost. Now it is a 3-point. So a lot of these have been overhauled, and you'll have to take a look at them to see how they have affected your personal builds and such. And I will be doing a lot of build guides coming out over the future as I do more testing. These are a lot of the changes here to a lot of these things. We now have new points of interest that I can showcase. The points of interest will be things that will take place in, right now they're in specific sectors, not regions here, but specific sectors. When you jump into them, they will be have different things that you can do. There might be, say, a platforming section that you have to do to get some loot. You might have a small area. Think of it like a safe area, but with more enemies. The safe area will have, it'll be a little bit bigger in scope inside of an area, and you'll have to go in, clear it out, and grab the loot, but there'll be good loot inside. These new points of interest right now are currently appearing in, last I checked, in specific sectors, but the goal is to bring it to where they can appear in any sector and just change things up. Speaking of that point, things that can happen in the mission, such as solar flares and asteroid showers, seem to be a lot more common now. Asteroid showers are doing half as much damage as they used to because they were a point of contention for some folks. We now have changes to the map size here. As you can see, it doesn't say how long the mission will typically take. It used to say like 40 minutes or an hour and a half. Now it says large maps. Now let's see if I can find the one. There is small map. So the map sizes are dictated by large and small, and the difficulty ratings are much more indicative here. Challenge rating 3, this is moderate. This is kind of your standard difficulty. And then we also have the easy difficulty and the trivial, which is going to be challenge rating 1. And then at challenge rating 4, it's got hard and very hard. These are all the same as that always was. However, there are some changes here that have been made to overall things. The map looks different. It will say how much heat you have, the map size, large and small. And then we also have single sector areas like the data breach and the data extraction missions. See, it says 1 sector. Now, it does say approaching reinforcements, and it says heat. So this is one of the big updates from this game, and I will probably skip to where I'm in mission and can show you guys this on the map. But the broad strokes here, the starting heat is going to be 70 for challenge rating 3 and up. So 3 to 4 to 5, you're going to have 70 initial heat, and I will explain how that works here in a moment. At 2, it is currently, let me grab one of these areas that has it, is currently at 60, and then at 1, it has 40. So it is reduced for the lower challenge ratings, and not as high, and there are ways to both raise and lower the heat as you go. Salvage missions do not have heat, and single sector jumps currently, like the data extraction and data breach, also do not have heat. All the other missions do have heat in play, and I will be demonstrating that here. I'm just going to grab a challenge rating 5 mission. Let's go with this one. And it's a very large map, so you're going to see the largest, and I'm going to go ahead and cut to where we are in mission, guys. Now onto the heat mechanic. So what we have now is the heat mechanic. It's going to be very drastically different. I'm in a challenge rating 5 mission. You can see that the missions are more centralized. The final jumps tend to be here at the ends, but they can also be more centered with some jumps behind them now. At any rate, you can actually hit every jump in this map if you should choose to do so. You can also just kind of jump straight through. Not every sector will have a jammer, for instance. They used to have like jammer ships or things preventing you from jumping, forcing you to do the sector before you could move on. Many of them don't have that now. Some of them, it is possible to just hit and move along. So you could very quickly move from here to here straight into the final jump and just take the mission very quickly, which is why we no longer have a time indication. We have map sizes. So this is a large map. Now, how does the heat mechanic work? As you can see here, the starting heat for challenge rating 3 to 5 is going to be 70, and then 60 for challenge rating 2, and then 40 for challenge rating 1. At 70, you can see that we have 2 effects down below and active effects. Also, you can see that the enemy damage is altered. So at 70, we have plus 70% extra enemy damage. Now, it'll be an extra percent for every number on the heat. If the heat is raised up to 100, the damage would be 100% harder hitting from enemies. And if you were to take it down to, say, 25, it would be 25% extra damage. And then, of course, you could take this in negative numbers by lowering the heat that much, but it will have no effect on the bots. Once they hit 0, that is the cap on how low they can go. But there are benefits to taking the heat below that number, and I'll discuss those here in a moment. Now, as you can see here, it also increases the enemy health by plus 14% at this difficulty, at this heat. That will also lower or raise depending on the heat level. This is pretty high up, so you're getting almost close to where the maximum amount of health is going to be for these bots. Overall, the HP has been increased, and certain things have been done to try to accommodate for that and make certain strategies work a little bit better. But yeah, you'll have extra health on the enemies if the heat is not lowered. On top of that, you can see that there are active effects. These are sector modifiers like we've had previously. You can say that it says active events in these. This one has incoming Legion ships, and it also has a supply beacon. So these can have positive and negative effects. The trader no longer has sector modifiers that affect them, like material disruption field, fortunately. But these are going to be taking effect into the final jump now, which is new. However, they are based upon how high the percentage is on the heat. So you can see at 20 heat, this one will have materia disruption field in effect, which basically makes it where everything costs double materia. And then it'll also have, at 50, you have incoming Legion ships. So it'll be a Legion strike force that hits you as soon as you get into the area. And then as you see at 80, if we were to raise the heat to 80, it would be Ion Rift in effect. So we would have all those effects in play at the same time as doing the final jump, on top of the enemies just being harder from hitting harder and having more HP. So it is relevant to lower the heat. Now, how do you do that? You do that by going to sectors like this. You can see this one says small force. Clearing this sector will slightly reduce the strength of the enemy forces of the final sector. So if you can just come in here and jump out, it's not going to take effect. But if you go in here and complete the main objective in this sector, it will lower the heat by 18 in this one. And then there are larger ones, such as this one, large force. Clearing this sector will greatly reduce the strength of the enemy forces in the final sector. So it will lower the heat by 41. So that would take it from 70, and that would drop it down to, pardon me, it would drop it down to, I think it's 19, if my math's correct. I'm just doing it in my head real quick, and I'm not thinking too hard about it. Probably, no. It would be 29. Anyway, bottom line is, my math is way off. I'll just leave that in so you guys know I am a doofus. But at any rate, so it would lower the heat by that amount. And then, of course, you could hit multiple sectors to continue lowering the heat. There are new hidden caches, and you'll find things in here. These will be hidden sectors, or they'll be points of interest. Eventually, we will have points of interest scattered throughout. Rewards are indicated down below. As you can see, this is salvage. This is artifacts and repair kits. There will be materia and equipment. So basically, you would have materia if you were to complete this one, which is very helpful given the fact that the ships now have reduced amount of materia they can carry, and materia in general has been reduced. Clouds now only provide 10 materia, no matter what. So if you destroy a ship and it drops a cloud, or if there's materia remnants scattered around when you jump in, each cloud is worth 10 materia, 5 to each filter. So materia that you are going to get has been reduced. It has also been reduced on the loot that you would normally scrap for materia. Now gives less materia than it used to, and some items that are worth a lot of credits are no longer worth materia at all. So you don't have that debate of should I scrap it for the materia or keep it for the credits. Now it's kind of easy to make that call. On top of this, it's not that hard though to get decent amounts of materia, because you can go to different sectors that will provide materia and you can get things. I have found that weapon stashes seem to be more common now. So if you wanted to go over here and get these weapons, it'd be great. You have a higher chance of having Mark IIIs here, as well as some various different kinds of weapons, which is pretty sweet. Finding places where you can get materia like here and here is not that hard now, so you can really top off your materia very quickly, which is pretty cool. Artifacts are easier to come by. In the trader, he now has a healing station on the right wall as soon as you enter, and his artifacts only cost 50 materia now, whereas they used to cost 100, which makes this far more viable. And as you can see, overall, you would want to lower the heat ultimately to make this an easier area, unless you're really looking for a challenge. Now, other things that could be done is, let me see if I can find one in play here. Let's see, do any of these specify that they will provide materia ingots? This one does. Okay, so you will get materia ingots if you jump here. Now, materia ingots, at last I checked, I'm not sure with the current patch, they would raise the heat by 5 per materia ingot brought on the ship. Now, if you were to accidentally bring them on the ship and you weren't intending to raise the heat, you could remove them, and it would lower the heat by the same amount that you raised it. So you can make up for that there. But yeah, by gathering materia ingots, 2 is worth 10, so 5 apiece. If you were to take 2 on board your ship, it would raise this from 70 to 80, and then that final effect would be active, the Ion Rift. So the more materia ingots that you bring on the ship, the higher the heat will get. Now, I'm not aware of anything else that raises the heat at this time, although that may be adjusted eventually. On top of that, components do not seem to raise the heat like materia ingots do. You can bring as many components on the ship as you like. They are worth 1 materia ingot if you should bring 2 components on the ship. They're worth half an ingot apiece. At an uneven number, you will get credits for that final component, but you won't get a materia ingot reward from it. Ultimately, that is the changes that we have here. Those are the things that I've noticed. One other little point is the lava wall that has been mentioned. You can see as I jump to this area, the red line there at the bottom is chasing me. The more jumps that you get under your belt, the more it will increase. Eventually, it will encompass the entire map and surround this in a big circle. Now, it is possible to jump inside of the lava wall unless things have been changed. I have not noticed a huge difference from doing so. You do get more forces, more elites, harder units in general, but the changes are not so drastic that it makes it completely unviable to jump inside of the red lava wall should you choose to go for a sector that has been covered, but you really want to do it. Say it would be dropping the heat by a large amount, or maybe there's rewards there that you're looking for in particular. So it is doable, but you will have a greater challenge, and this is designed to kind of help move you along. Overall, there are a lot of different changes here that have been made, and I'm not able to cover everything in this video without making it 2 hours long or something, and anything that I say is frankly subject to change as they are updating rapidly to address things and concerns that players are having. So honestly, I've had to re-record this video like 4 times now. This is, I don't remember which take this is. I put in probably 18 hours of effort into this video yesterday alone. So at this point, this is how it's going to be, guys. This is how I'm bringing it to you. Any changes that have been made since I pushed this live to the time that you're watching it and experiencing it in game, I apologize, but there's not a lot I can do about that. The game is definitely evolving all around us very quickly. At any rate, these are the biggest changes that I have noticed in game. I hope you all are having a good one, and I'll catch you in the next one. Later.